Shop here in Neosho, Missouri. Wanted to talk to you a little bit today about the free block of the month that we've been putting on our Facebook page. And while I'm thinking about that, don't forget to like us and hit the bell so that you can be notified when we have something new come on. And don't forget that we've got a giveaway coming soon. And I'm not going to tell you about that just yet, but it's coming. The first block I've put on there was a house with the trees, and it was put out by Moda. I think about 3 years ago they offered this, and it was called Be My Neighbor. And I did a whole series on this, made a quilt. In fact, gave it to my neighbor down the road, and he just loved it. So I thought that might be a fun way for you to get to know me, and then that way you can see if you really like quilting, because sometimes we like projects and sometimes they're so detailed that they're no fun and you just put them away, and everybody's got a UFO, and for you that are new, it's unfinished objects of things you do not want to go back and look at. And I have lots of those. Well, some I have, but anyway, I'm not ready to give them up. But anyway, back to what we're working on. This is the block that I showed. And it was a really fun block. It's like 18 inches, so it's a nice big block. Now, my daughter, last night, she was here, and she was telling me, I told her to go pick out the fabric. So this would be her block. I'm going to sew it because she's a little sewing challenged, but that's okay. We're working on that. So what we start out with is, she used flannel, and I didn't really think about this, but that's a neat way, and you can interact with them. There are certain things that won't sew together well, but the flannel and the cotton, I've done things with it. So this is going to be your tree. This is going to be your house, and so we're going to take and work on those. Now, in the instructions, it shows you all the cutting things that you need. And we went ahead and pre-cut just because it saves us some time when we're filming. But I cut them out like in the afternoon, maybe while I'm waiting to do something else or waiting for something to finish up on my embroidery machine. So it makes it really nice. And of course we have pictures, and that helps tremendously. So what we're going to start with this morning is we're going to start with the tree section, which is this piece right here. And we're going to sew that together. And what you've got is you've got a 6.5 by 3.5 piece, and this is the top of the tree. And we're going to sew these two squares to each side. And what we're going to do is basically make a flying geese. So if you guys aren't familiar, look that up or just look at it. But we're going to sew from corner to corner to corner. And when we get done, these pieces will lay like this. I can get them to fold. And that's going to be the start. So come back in a few minutes, and we're going to sew the rest of these the same way. And we'll have this put together. Okay, now we're looking at Be My Neighbor block, which I told you was 18 by 18. I'm going to give you a little information, a little more detail. This is block 1, 18 by 18, finished. Be My Neighbor by Moda, and I love what they've done. So thank you, Moda, for bringing this out. If you want to go and look at their website, down here at the bottom on this page it says www.modafabrics.com. Go in there and look and see what they got. It's always interesting what they have, and you can look at what they've done. They have other projects, but on this one, this is what you're going to see. And you'll see that if you've downloaded it on my website. If you haven't, we'll go in there and do that now. But these are scrappy blocks, which means you take the fabric you have on hand, you've got extra scraps, use them. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Now, it has a cutting instructions. And on the house, which is this, you're going to need two 12.5 by 2.5 rectangles, which is the top of the house and the bottom. Then you're going to need two 3.5 by 1.5 rectangles 3.5 by 1.5, okay. And I'm trying to look at that, so give me just a minute. Right here, and this is gonna be, these are your windows, so this is gonna be the sashing between the windows. And then you're gonna have 2.5 by 7.5 for the outside of the, so basically you're going to construct the house. Then you're gonna go, and here you have the windows, which are 3.5 by 3.5. And then you're going to have a roof and a chimney, which is here and here. And that's 12.5 by 2 3/4. These is 2.5 by 3 3/4. You'll need 2 of those. And so we're going to work with that. Now, here's your tree. Your tree is going to be what we call a flying geese, which is, this is the goose flying, and that's where the flying geese comes from. And the first one is going to be a 6.5 by 3.5. And you're going to have 3.5 squares on the side, and you'll see that as I sew this up in a little bit. Then you're going to go do 5 of the 6.5 by 2 inch, which is this, the tree, with 2 inch sides, and then your tree branch and your 2 pieces here. Now, if you notice on my block, I didn't just make this one solid piece. I decided I wanted some green, and you can do that. Nobody says you have to go in and make it all. The quilt police don't come and arrest you. If they did, well, I'd have been in trouble a long time ago. But this is your, I decided I wanted some grass, because we all want grass around our house. So we have that. So for starters, let's do a little cutout. So let's do the tree. And when you're cutting, you don't have to do anything in a certain order. But what I do, you notice I've made check marks here. So I make sure that I have all of that cut. And I'm not missing pieces. So nobody hates it worse than I do. When you sit down and you're going to sew and you're missing pieces, you have to get back up and go cut. Or you cut it all out and you don't have enough fabric. And here you are. Now you're short. What are you going to do? So I just do that as a precautionary. And a lot of times I'm thinking about 3 different other things, and that doesn't work. So the check marks help me. Plus, I'm just getting old and getting forgetful. So what we're going to do is we would take, and before we start, I'm going to show you. This is my ruler. I've had it for years. And as you notice, there is this and this and this. Well, what this is, I put that on the back. Let me see if I've got, oh, I do have it. A lady in Bartlesville, Oklahoma that has a quilt shop showed me this trick. We got the clear tape, medical tape, and I got this at Walgreens. And what you do, let me pull this out, is you take this and you put it on the back of this, and it stops your fabric from sliding, because on cotton sometimes it will, but you can put it down and it doesn't move. I thought, what an ingenious trick. So I have to give credit to her. She was very nice. If you ever go to Bartlesville, Oklahoma, go over there and go. There's 2 quilt shops. One's Quilter's Hideaway, and I can't remember what the other one is. The other one's the one that showed me the trick. And go down, and she's downtown. But go and see those ladies. They're very nice. Quilter's Hideaway is very good about answering questions. This lady here, she had lovely fabric. So anyway, back to this. You take, and we need a 6.5 by 3.5. I'm going to do a 3.5 and cut it into a 6.5 length. So looking on my ruler, and if you have one of these, and if you have trouble and your eye can't follow the line, I have this little blue tape, and I can't tell you where I got it at. I've had it for a long time. But you can put this down. And you can put it on the side that you're just measuring. You put it beforehand, like that. Now, let me see if I can tear it. There. Okay. So that will help me know that's a 3.5. So I'm left-handed, so I'm going to cut opposite. But you push that down, and you cut your 3.5. Now, I cut my fabric. Looks like I've got a dull blade. There. I cut this. I double my fabric. Now, one thing I do want you to remember, let's pull that out of the way. is when they are doing fabric, they have this where the pattern runs out. On this side, you'll see right here, sometimes you'll see these little marks. It's pin marks where they've been on the rolls at the factory. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay this down. And I have another little one. I have all sorts of rulers. I'm a very big notions person. So as you see me in these tutorials, I may have 4 or 5 different rulers because I use them all. But I'm going to use this line on the 15 inch, and that's just where I wanted to lay it. And I'm going to lay that down, and I'm going to trim that off because we don't want that showing up in our quilt. That's not pretty. It's not going to do anything, so we'll just take that off. So now we've got that trimmed. Let's open this up, and let's cut 6.5 inches off. Now you can use your mat, but I have a 6.5 on this ruler, so I'm going to lay it down. I'm going to line it up, and there it is. So now I have that piece cut. So you want to do each of your pieces as you go through here, and you want to, if you're unsure, mark it off. So let's see, right here. So I would mark that off, and I would continue till I get them all cut. So I have this piece, I have my whites cut. So let's go sew this and come back and we'll go through some more. Okay, now we're here at my sewing machine. I wanted to tell you, I was talking to you about rulers. I have a ruler that came from Missouri Star Quilt Company. And this was on one of their daily deals. And I love this thing. It's like 8 inches long, 2.5. So it's perfect for what I'm going to do when quilting. I still have my other one, which is my Omni Grid. They put out a really nice line of rulers. I've got big ones. I've got some little ones. But they're just really nice because they have, especially like here at the 3 inch, they have a line goes through so you can line everything up. So I brought both of these over here, and I have a little cutting mat. This is my baby cutting mat, and I use it when I'm sitting here at the sewing machine so I don't have to get up and go there and make quite so many trips. So we're going to start with this, and we cut that big piece out, that 6.5 by 3.5. We have 3.5 squares that we're going to make that flying geese, and it's going to sit there. So what we're going to do, we can do one or two things. We can mark it with these friction pins, which are put out by Pilot. It's great, but if you go press and an iron, the lines disappear. So you might want to think about that, or we can use just a lead pencil, lightly mark on it. We'll do both, and you can decide which. Most of your fabric and quilt shops carry these, and they come in all sorts of colors. I got a pink, I got a black, I got a blue, and the green. But they're just awesome. So we're going to take this, and we're going to mark from corner to corner on the diagonal. And let's see if we can get this. I think it's going to do. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew on this line right here. So let's do that. Okay. Now, when I sew, I have a clear foot. Now, I think you can find these on most machines. But what's nice, it's got this red line right here. I don't know if you can see that. And it's got a red line right here. That gives me where I can start. This makes sure that I'm on the line. I'm watching what I'm doing. So it's just been an invaluable little tool that makes it easier when I'm sewing, and I'm all for that. So let's put this one on. I sew with about on my machine, because it's computerized, it says 2.7, 2.8. There we go. Let's see if I can get that in there. Okay. So it's preset at 2.40, but I like my stitch to be just a little bit longer than that. So I do. Okay. What we're going to do is I'm going to put that red line right on the green one that I marked. And I'm going to start off. And we're going to sew that down. Now, I'm done. And I just think I just ran out of bobbin fabric. Okay, we'll take care of that in a minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold this back, make sure that it does, and it does. But we don't want all of this left. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and do 1/4 of an inch, which is right there, and you'll see your 1/4 inch marks on there. And we're going to cut this. And I can't cut this one. There we go. Okay. So now that's done. We're going to fold this over. And now I have another little gadget. I got this from Nancy's Notions. And it actually presses, so I don't have to go all the time to the press of the iron. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this down, or press this down. Then I'm going to bring this back. And I'm pressing to the dark side because you don't want that sewing. There. Okay, and there we are. So we have 1/2 of our flying geese made. So come back in just a minute. Let me rewind that bobbin so we can sew, and we'll get this made. Hi guys. Okay, you're back with me. I've been doing speed sewing while you were gone. And what we've done is we've partially sewed this whole block together. So I wanted to tell you, this was our rectangles and squares put together to make that flying geese that I was talking about. And so I've got everything, and we're going to sew this together. We now have the trunk and the 2 pieces on the bottom. We have the chimneys, this, and I've got a little trick for that. And then we have the house, and we've got to sew part of that together, and then the foundation. So if you want to sit down and we'll finish this up so you can get block 1 done, come along and join me. We're going to take the top piece and this bottom, and we're going to put right sides together, right side to right side. And we are going to match that up. Now, if you're comfortable using pins, go ahead. If you're not, then don't. We also have the clips, and the clips are becoming quite popular. We're going to use a 1/4 inch seam, which 1/4 inch seam, let me explain that, is from right here to this edge. So you always want to sew from here out to the edge. That's a 1/4 inch. And you can measure it if you want to, but that's usually a guide. That's what my guide is. So right there. So let's start that and let's see what happens. Okay. Now I'm going to put my needle down because I want to make sure this is all good. And I don't want any of this showing. And that's why you may want a pin, because sometimes it'll move on you. Okay, there we go. And then we're going to move this down. My fabric's not wanting to cooperate this morning. There we go. So we're at this point, and we want to make sure that it stitches. There we go. Okay. Now we have the tree all done. Doesn't that look nice? And I like this flannel. I would have never thought about this, but my daughter gave me something to think about. This gives you a little depth and dimension. Okay, we're going to take, you can either go to the sewing machine or the ironing board, and you can iron it, or use anything of your tools, pressing tools. So we have that done. Now we're going to take the bottom half, and we're going to do right sides to right sides. Flip it. And again, if you think you need to pin, go right ahead. And we're going to come in and sew this. I'm going to make sure Good. Okay, and we're done with that. So there we are. We have our tree finished. Very pretty. We'll press that to give it some body. So let's set that out of the way. And then we're going to go to the house. Now what we're going to do is, I've already sewed this piece here, and I'm starting. You don't have to do this, but this is the way I do it. It's easier for me. I made the windows, and I had to have sashing and a divider. Same thing here. So we're going to put right sides, this side to the right side here. Lay that down. Take it to the sewing machine. Let's sew this down. All this is 1/4 inch straight seam, just like it was over there on the tree. Okay, let's look at it. Oh, nice. Very, very nice. So we have the center piece done. So let's just set that here. Now, we're going to take, we have to have foundation to our house. So we're going to take right sides to right sides. We're going to do this. And we are going to sew this. And this is kind of a long one, a 1/4 inch seam again, as always. Unless they tell different, most of the time they're all 1/4 inch seams. So we're going to stitch this. And we'll do some trimming when we go to press. Because we cut this a little longer, and that's okay, because at least you can trim it up. Okay. And let's see what we have here. Ah, perfect. I love it. So there's our foundation. We're going to trim this side off. Now, we need a top on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this as one complete unit, and then what we'll end up doing is we'll come back, we'll press this up, and then we'll put the top on. So let's do this top together. 1/4 inch seam, right sides to right sides. Make sure I'm good, and I am. Okay. Take that off. Let's flip this open. And now we have our house. So we're going to stop and go press, and then come back and we'll finish this. Okay, I've pressed, but now I need to trim up because I've got these long pieces. And so what I've done is I found a line on my cutting mat, which just happens to be the 12-inch line, and I'm going to line that up just like that. Then I'm going to take my long ruler, and I'm going to lay that down on that 12-inch line, and I'm going to trim this up. And the reason I'm doing this, and I've learned a lot since I started quilting, is if you don't, then when you get it all finished up and you send it off to the quilter, they have to deal with all the odds and ends, and you don't want that. You want this looking as nice and as neat and as professional as you can. So, once again, we're going to line this up, and I'm going to trim that all up. So we've got it done. So there's the back. Now, some of this doesn't look as pretty because I've sewed here, but that's okay. I'm going to trim this up. So I've got some straggly strings. I'll trim that up. So come back in just a minute and we'll get this done. Okay, I went in and I just clipped because I got in a hurry and didn't pay attention. So it's all cleaned up now. It looks a lot better. You're not going to see that on the front, and that's okay. So that piece is done and ready. Now the tree, we're going to take him, and see, it's been in an Oklahoma wind because it's leaning. And for you that lived in Oklahoma, you know what I'm talking about. The wind blows all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this up. And remember, I'm left-handed. So I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to take my ruler, and I've got it laying there, and I've got my cutter. And I'm going to cut this down. Well, there we go. I guess I need new blades all the way around in my shop. This is terrible. Okay. Okay. Now, that's why we still need scissors. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to take that off. So we've trimmed it up. It makes it look a lot nicer. Now we're going to take this one and bring it over here. And we're going to trim this up. Okay. Let's make this a stand. There we go. Now then. We're just gonna, my fabric is being a little wonky today. I don't need it being wonky. There we go. There we go. Okay. So we're going to do just a quick trim. Much better. That's why I never move my ruler until I'm completely done. And I'm apologizing because normally my blade's nice and sharp, but it hasn't been here lately. So anyway, we've got him as straight as we can. And I'm okay with that. Okay, now let's go back over and let's put this and this one together so we can get our block done. Okay, so now we've gotten our house all made. We need to finish the construction on the top. So we need to make sure we have a background piece on there. So we're going to do this to the top. So we're going to put right sides to right sides. And we're going to sew this down, 1/4 inch seam again. And we're going to start stitching, which so far has looked good. And the pressing helps. I can't say enough about pressing. I saw the difference. Okay. So we've got that done. And we're going to use our little handy dandy tool here. There we go. And we are going to do a little here, a little there, here, here, and here. Keep bringing this down. Here, and here, and here, and here. So that'll do for now, but I'll take it to the machine and still let it press. I've got ravelings all over, but that's okay. Okay, now I want to talk to you about the chimney and the stacks. You want, let me get my pin out. You want this to match up right to this. Same thing on either side. So the little trick to this is a pin, and what we want to do is flip it over right sides to right sides. See where these stitches come in right here? Okay. You want to put your pin in at that where you sewed that little seam. And you want to push it in. Then you want to go over to the back side. Turn this over. And you want that pin to come in there. That is a guarantee that you're going to have matching points. Otherwise, you have to take it out, or you can live with it, but most of us don't. So let's see if we can do this. Let's put this in right here. Okay, there we are. See it there? See it over here. Okay, so we're going to do that. I'm going to pin that. Same thing on the other end. Let's get a pin. Okay. And I press my seam to the dark side again. Okay. So we're going to put a pin in that seam line. There it is. And we're going to pick this up, and we want it to go in to this seam line, which it should. There we go. So now we have that. Let's put them together, match them up, and we pin. Now, we're going to take the machine. Now, if you want to pin some more, by all means do so. I've gotten to the point I don't have to do that quite as much. 1/4 inch seam down through here, and here we go. Here we go. And when I get up, I pull that out. I don't sew over the pin. I don't like breaking a needle. I don't want it to fly off and hit me in the eye or the face. Try explaining that one to the doctor. They'll laugh you out of the ER. So here we're stitching down. We're going to make sure that stays right there. Okay, now, I have a tool, wait just a minute, that is perfect. This is a bamboo one, but it's got a thick end and it's got a skinny end. I use it all the time if I don't poke myself. And I hold that down because I want that to stick, and I can pull the pin out and I've still got that holding it in place. Okay. Okay. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's hope this come out right. And I think we did good. It's a little off on one side, but that's okay. Look at there. Okay. Now, we need to press that up. So come back in a minute and we'll be ready to be pressed. Okay, we're back and we got this pressed up. Looks really nice. So we're going to do a right side to right side, and we're going to sew this down, and we're going to connect it to our tree, and we'll have block number 1 done. So let's do this. For those of you who are pinners, let's just pin this. Let's do like that. Okay. And let's go down here. And let's pin like that. There we go. Okay. Okay. And I'm just gonna grab that. Okay, we're ready to go. Let's put this in. Okay, we're gonna stitch. We're going to take that off, cut that pin off, and pull that. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to do this and do that. Okay. I'm going to trim this little, right here, this one, and you can see that my piece got twisted, so we're just gonna clip that, no biggie, and we're gonna see, and that is our block. Now we'll need to press, and then we'll connect. So come back in just a minute. We're going back to the pressing iron. Okay, guys, we've pressed this really nice. Now all we have to do is connect the tree to the house, and you have block number 1 done. So what we're gonna do is right sides to right sides. Let's flip this over, and I'm gonna pin just because it is a long piece, or I've been talking about the clips. And in here in my little interesting box of surprises, I have, ta-da, clips. So we're going to use these. Now, I didn't know much about these, but my sister gifted me with some of these, and I found out these things are probably slicker than all get out about stuff. And I love them. When I'm doing a binding, these are invaluable. And she also gifted me this weekend when she came for a visit, a big bag of some big clips. And if I think about it, next time we do another tutorial, I'll show those to you. Because those things, man, I could see those being used for lots of projects. So anyway, we're just pinning them. They've got a flat side, and then they've got the curve. So I put the flat side to the back, and the front up here. And that's it. So those are easier to pin. Then I get tired of getting stuck by pins all the time. So first thing we're going to do is, did that. Let's put this under, and let's start sewing. I'm going to stop and take that pin out. Okay. Do the next one. Okay. And you noticed I'm sewing on the side that we put the tree on. I want to just kind of make sure everything goes good. I think everything's laying down. There, okay. Lay that there. And just sew along. And you don't have to be a speed demon. Sometimes I forget about that. When you beginners are sewing out, you don't have to be a speed demon. Slow and steady. If not, sometimes you have to rip out, and who wants to do that? Okay. Looks like we're done. Looks like I've got some, clean my machine out. That's been kind of bad. Okay. We're going to clip this one, and we're going to flip it over. Let's move our clips out of the way. And let's see how this looks. I'm going to press towards the house when I go to press it at the machine. And there it is. So let's press this up, come back in a few minutes, and I'll trim it up, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do on the next one. Come back and join me. Okay, we've been to the ironing board, we've pressed, we've trimmed. Now, this is what my daughter picked out, and this is what mine was. Same block, but look at all the ideas that you can do. So, this completes block number 1 of Be My Neighbor by Moda. And come back and join me for this second one. Please know that I have a website. I'm at thesewingshop.com. Let me think what the last name is.
Site.
Thesewingshop.site. Thank you. I keep forgetting that. We just put out a short video on YouTube. Look for that. Please go to my face page and like me, because I really am excited about this and I want to see what you all think. Please give me your comments, and I will see you next time with block 2. Have a great day.